Alright, today is one of my extremely rare non-laptop reviews. I recently upgraded my phone to Samsung's S25 Plus. I've had it for a bit over a month and today I thought I'd hop on and just tell you about it. Look, we clearly review laptops here, not phones, at least at this stage. So this is not going to be a review where I go through mountains of tests. There are already other channels that do that pretty well. And let us know with a comment below if you are interested in us expanding our coverage to such devices. Hint, getting subscribed, it would really help us grow and be able to do that. Anyway, with that said, here we go. The S25 Plus is a great phone. It is fast, everything about it feels premium and polished, plus for a phone with a display this large, it's really light. However, I feel that I upgraded too soon. I traded in my 2-year-old Galaxy S23 Plus, and I'm going to be honest with you folks, I really don't notice that much of a difference with this new one, other than perhaps missing $500 from my bank account. Firstly, as I said, the S25 Plus is slightly lighter than the S23 Plus. With cases off, I did a blind test where I held up each phone to see which one was heavier. I picked the new S25 Plus every single time. I don't like heavy phones, I find them uncomfortable on my wrist, and that's one of the main reasons I don't use an iPhone. Unfortunately, with a lot of larger screen phones, that's kind of what you have to deal with, and I'm glad you don't have to here. Another reason I decided to upgrade was for the S25 Plus's better display. It has a higher resolution and it is brighter. Personally, I never found the resolution on my older S23 Plus that bad. Everything looked sharp enough for me, and I'm definitely a pixel peeper. So this one I didn't end up noticing. The increased brightness though, I did notice. When walking outside in direct sunlight, I do find that the S25 Plus's screen is more visible. The S23 Plus's had to go into this direct sunlight mode, which made content look a bit odd. Continuing on with the display, one small thing that I was pleased to see is that the S25 Plus has a slightly larger screen, and I mean really slightly. It's up from 6.6 to 6.7 inches. I consume a ton of content on my phone, so I'll take any extra screen real estate that I can get. And bonus that it comes with no increase in weight or size. Look, as you probably expect, I didn't notice the extra 0.1 of an inch, but I like that Samsung are making the most of this form factor by squeezing in such a large display. Next, the new S25 Plus has a new processor, the Snapdragon 8 Elite, and it has more memory, 12GB not 8. To me, I never found my old phone slow, and this one feels just as responsive. If anything, a smidge more, but that may just be a placebo effect because I know it has a new processor and more memory. By the way, for context, my use case is switching between many common apps like Chrome, ClassPass, and Gmail, watching a ton of videos on YouTube or Twitch streams, and playing Teamfight Tactics, so I'd say pretty heavy. This new phone has a slightly larger battery, 200 mAh more. Given that its new processor is supposedly more efficient, I was hoping to see longer battery life. This I believe I do see. When writing this review at 8 PM at night, having not charged the S25 Plus all day and doing my normal use, I had 52% remaining. This is significantly more than my older phone would have. That probably would have needed a little extra juice by now, but keep in mind I did have that phone for 2 years and its battery had obviously degraded. If these phones had replaceable batteries, I could definitely see people keeping them for a lot longer. I have heard that there are reasons for this like better waterproofing, and that kind of makes sense. I actually do like to watch YouTube videos while taking a shower. TMI. But moral of the story, it would be great if we had an option for a replaceable battery as well as a model without one. It would prevent a lot of waste. Next, the glass on the screen is both very strong and very slippery. I have already dropped my phone a couple of times. It wasn't its case though, but sometimes directly on the screen and other times just on the side. I can't believe how strong this thing is. There isn't a scratch on it. I'm not guaranteeing that if you drop your S25 Plus on the pavement, you won't scratch or crack it, but I've been pretty impressed by my results. My older phones would have already shown damage by now. What isn't great though is how slippery the display's coating is. It reminds me of trying to hold onto a seal, seriously. Sometimes I put this phone down on its screen so I don't get distracted by it. If the surface isn't flat, then the phone just slides straight off. Also in my pockets, in my pants, if they aren't deep enough and the phone isn't in the case, it can easily slip out. Next, the cameras. They seem unchanged, at least on paper. I do feel though that there is a slight improvement in the image quality. Although I can't prove it, and it is still that oversaturated Samsung look that they're famous for, but as I said, I do feel the photos look a bit better. Next, the fingerprint reader under the display is improved. I rarely have to tap twice, which I used to do on my older phone. In fact, on those, I'd often have to hold my finger down for quite a while for it to register. Let's talk software. This is the one area that I've never liked about Samsung phones. If you're unaware, Samsung has created their own apps for many common ones and, to be honest, much better apps. For example, Samsung Pass constantly pops up every time I'm asked to enter a password. Chrome already remembers passwords, and I even have one password, so I don't need Samsung Pass. Then there is a gallery app, when Android of course already has one of those. To me, these apps just feel like tech for tech's sake, and I find their pop-ups really annoying. The only case that I can see for them is if you don't want to pay for the other better apps. But either way, you should be able to uninstall Samsung's apps, which of course they don't let you do. At least it does seem that this time around Bixby is easier to disable. Now, since I'm talking about software, one thing I do want to mention is Google Messages for Web. It's similar to iMessage, where you can send text from your computer. This is the other big reason that I don't use an iPhone. iMessage requires that you use a Mac, and I switch my laptops all the time, and not all are Macs. Clearly, this isn't a Samsung S25 Plus thing, but I do want to note that Google seems to have invested a lot in this capability. It is very responsive, dragging photos and media to it works well, and depending on which phone the person you are texting is using, it has all the messages read, unread, etc. notifications. Unfortunately, it still can't do video though, but hopefully in the future Google adds that. Overall, as you can see, there are a bunch of small upgrades with this new phone, some of which I noticed and some I didn't. But that wasn't the sole reason I chose to upgrade. It was the crazy deals that Samsung offers, particularly if you pre-order. They give you a great trade-in price and give you credit to put towards accessories. In my case, I recently lost one of my AirPod Pro 2s, so being able to get the Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 included, that was a big incentive for me. I must say I've really enjoyed using the buds. They are super light and just fit my ear much better than the AirPod Pros. I ended up paying $500 for the phone, the buds, and the case. That's after Samsung's $600 trade-in for my older S23 Plus. If I had waited another year, I would have got $200 less on the trade-in. So that was a big reason as to why I made the switch this year. Alright, here's where I stand. Laptop tech, it has changed a lot over the last couple of years. You now get significantly more battery life, much less heat and fan noise, and just better devices than you would have 2 years ago. In the case of phones though, the tech just hasn't changed that much. They really aren't improving that much generation on generation. The main issue is that the phone's batteries, they decay and aren't replaceable. Overall, I'd say to notice a real difference, you really need to wait 3 to 4 years. If you have waited that long, or you feel upgrading now is worth it, I do highly recommend this phone. It is premium, it is polished, it has a large screen that is also lightweight. Lastly, I want to finish on a personal note. We are massively trying to grow this channel. We have big plans to improve our content. More videos, higher quality ones. We want to answer all your questions. We can only do that if we get our subscriber numbers up. So please help us out. It is completely free and easy to do. If you want to do a bit more, we do release videos early now for YouTube or Patreon members, so you can obviously sign up for that. Till next time, go do something awesome with your day, and I will catch you later.